All right, welcome everyone. My name is Karan Sondhi. I'm the CTO for Trellix's public sector business. I'm joined here with Mo Cashman, who's our CTO for the EMEA business, and Ashok Banerjee, who is our CTO for all products and services. Today's topic is going to be all about, what responsible security means from a vendor's perspective, and how we sort of weigh in on this topic. But before we start, I think all of you guys are wondering, why do we have three CTOs on this call? That's one too many CTOs maybe to screw a light bulb. So I have an analogy for you that might resonate. Um, Imagine if you're building a light bulb, right? You want to have the right product specifications for it. That's where Ashok comes in. He's designing the bulb. He's thinking about the specifications of the bulb, how bright it needs to be, what color and saturation it needs to be. Then you have folks like Mo who are saying, well, the bulb needs to meet European voltage requirements and it needs to meet the requirements for our market. That's where Mo comes in. He looks at customer needs for that unique market, how the product fits into that market. And then, of course, I get stuck with regulations, which is America has a lot of regulations for technologies that get embraced by the US government. So I'm laser focused in making sure that our technologies here at Trellix can meet or exceed the requirements here in the United States. So with that, let's jump right in and talk about our perspective on what it means to basically be a responsible security provider. Mo, maybe you could kick things off here. Tell me a little bit more about what you're seeing in the marketplace, especially in EMEA. What are customers saying? What's their perspective on what's kind of happening in the marketplace right now?
Yeah, well, they're very concerned about a couple of things. Right? One is that vendors understand the systems that they're protecting. They're mission critical systems, whether those are operational technologies, defense systems, healthcare systems, or any other critical system for a business. It's a little bit different than in the IT side, perhaps. Security has that special responsibility. Security vendors, of course, are entrusted with that and making that responsibility a reality and keeping those systems up. I think also we think a lot more about resilience these days, right? Especially whether it's in government solutions, corporate enterprises, and those two working together. Thinking that the outcome of security is not just to block and record something, but really that the business has to operate and keep going through those events. So it's a bit more than just the technology aspect. It's all factors there, but especially with the technology, that there's a prevention, there's a detection, there's a response element to all those technologies out there. I think that's big. And if I would say a third one specifically for what I see in the EMEA market, it's the choice. Cloud is not the same for everybody. Not all countries and regions are adopting cloud at all. Some not at all. Some not at speed. Some more than others. So the ability to give a customer a choice between how they deploy things, how they manage things, and how they operate those things is really, really important, I believe, from my marketplace here in Europe. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Thank you, Mo. Ashok,
Mm-hmm.
kind of dovetailing behind that thought here, what are you seeing in the marketplace from a threat landscape? Any thoughts around that?
Absolutely. So with threat landscape, we are seeing the attacks are moving to lighter and lighter shades of gray. They're more discriminating, harder to find. The post-compromise steps are getting accelerated and fully automated. It happens in the blink of an eye. It happens very rapidly. Post-compromise, it's fully automated. For instance, ransomware. It's going to take a few minutes. Your machine will be encrypted. Even if you have a detection which is sitting on someone else's screen, in the 10 minutes it takes or 20 minutes it takes for you to get to that detection, you're fully encrypted. At that point, you can admire at best how you were hacked. You can't stop it. Inline protection matters. That is probably the first lesson. The second, we're moving to lighter and lighter shades of gray. It's increasing use of living off the land, lol bins, as you would hear, living off the land binaries. And we are seeing attacks moving to non-Windows platforms as well, much, much more. Mac, for instance, has picked up TTPs living off the land, and it's getting more investigative. And their forensics, investigation, remediation, threat hunts start to kick in. And those are places we really bring our strengths to bear.
Awesome. Thank you. Maybe I'll jump in from the public sector perspective. I've seen sort of multiple facets of conversations that have been happening. And, I encourage Mo and Ashok to join me on this conversation. The day after the unfortunate incident from CrowdStrike, the first response that I got back from, one of the CISO was, well, we were initially looking at, multiple vendors. The vendor pool that we're looking at in light of this incident has shrunk quite a bit. So now, some customers are saying that the incident from CrowdStrike has basically down selected the number of vendors that they want to have in their mix. So that's one, that customers are looking at a smaller subset of vendors now for EDR. On the second front, I think there's a greater appreciation, and really to a lot of credit to you, Mo and Ashok, when you guys have been going out there in the field and enabling some of our customer success teams to highlight our strengths, specifically around giving customers choice on how you push updates, how you embrace updates, how do you manage the antivirus engine or the EDR engine that's running in your environment. That was very well embraced this time around. There was not a much, in my personal view, there wasn't a huge appreciation for staggered rollouts until this happened. People usually did it just to make sure that apps wouldn't break. There was never, in my mind, from the customer's perspective, a thought that, well, we want to do this on stages in case there's a massive outage that takes down our entire company or our entire business. The third thing that I'm seeing, and this is very unique to the US public sector market, and I'm actually personally very proud of it, we're the only vendor that provides both an on-prem capability as well as a SaaS capability under one umbrella to service a customer. And there's multiple ways this actually plays out in practice for the customer. The customers who want to embrace the cloud-based EDR product, they're of course going to love the scale and speed. And Ashok, you and I have been in multiple customer conversations where we talked about the scale and speed that we can handle that's unmatched by some of our competitors. But what's even more important for certain government customers is, hey, can your tooling, like our Trellix Forensics product, can it protect us in a completely disconnected, degraded, or in an environment where we have no internet connectivity ever? And the answer is yes. And it's all under one umbrella. They don't have to pick a separate vendor just to do, disconnected, endpoint protection capabilities. So I'm extremely proud of that because it I think, gives customers one vendor to work with for that solution set. It provides them one management platform to manage all their policies, and it gives them sort of the same efficacy that we're very, very proud of and well known in the industry for. So that's kind of my perspective on this topic. Anything to add, Mo or Ashok?
Yeah, I'd like to pick up on a couple of things you said, Karan. One is, that we're well suited for this. What I see is the diversification now. Giving customers the choice in management architecture, as we emphasized, but also in the capabilities they deploy where and when. So, for example, some of those disconnected networks, do they need to have the latest updates every day, or maybe there's a better way to protect those with, say, whitelisting technologies? Certainly the need for different types of detection mechanisms in disconnected environments becomes important. Maybe more insider threat capabilities, so DLP becomes important, and you're collecting Windows logs and looking all of that within that endpoint platform. And of course, in the workplace, the mobile workforce today, the hybrid mobile workforce today, a lot of diversity there with mobile security, different types of compute platforms that you have to protect, and back to that mission critical systems, the servers. I think we provide a lot of different differential capability for customers to protect server environments. So I think our platform approach and our choice, our giving customers a choice, that is, allows them to diversify within even the single vendor. Mm-hmm.
I'll jump in.
Yeah, that's well said.
Actually, I'll jump in on the choice factor. When there are old OSs, if there's an old OS sitting under the stairs, and that's almost always running something absolutely critical, otherwise it would be decommissioned. We sweat the details, even on some end-of-life OSs where servers, where the symbols are missing, we still make sure we protect those devices. That's one piece. The second piece I thought was, the two approaches to a reliable system. One is trying to go the axis of faultless, where we try to QA and make it improve, and everyone should test and improve it. The other is resilience. Resilience is assume that despite doing everything in our power to make it faultless, a fault will come someday. Let's minimize the consequences our customers suffer from it. So in the faultless axis, CrowdStrike's RCA was compelling on the faultless axis, and yet feels like it missed the forest, the shape of the forest for the trees. Missed that we want the resilience, minimize kernel footprint, minimize changes to the kernel. You don't want a blue screen. One day, even with all the QA, maybe a lot longer, again, it may not be a parameter mismatch. It may be something else, but those faults. And another point, actually jumping in, piggybacking on something Karan mentioned, network. So cloud on-prem, but besides that, almost all the brains is put currently in the cloud. Attackers today attack the proxy, attack the network communications. So low internet, no internet, intermittent internet are not just incidental things. These are designed to sever the brain from the edge, and what you have on the edge needs to tide over that system.
And that's such a great point, Ashok. That's a conscious architectural decision that you and your team made. And you know, a lot of credit there. You know, unless this event had happened from CrowdStrike, I don't personally believe there would be an appreciation for this architecture, right? So I want to stay with you on this thought, right? You talked about how we've designed the product with some of these risks and these security attack vectors in mind and bringing more protection to the edge. But you've also made some really smart architectural decisions behind the scene that I thought were very interesting. For example, you and I partnered on the Snowflake rollout for our EDR product. And you know, we were motivated by multiple factors when we partnered with Snowflake in our EDR platform. For me, it was more about bringing some of our, you know, cutting edge technology within the government space, because Snowflake is now FedRAMP High. They're also motivated to get to IL5, which are these US government certifications. But even more importantly, I'm super proud of the fact that our EDR works at the same speed as you swiping a credit card. You know, for the folks who are not familiar, Snowflake sort of became popular in the banking industry because they actually they handle all the transaction that you might do with your credit card, and they look for fraudulent transaction activities on their platform. So speed is what Snowflake leaned on, and that's the same speed that, you know, Ashok and I were super excited about partnering with them for. So Ashok, could you talk a little bit about some of those architectural decisions and how, you know, moving to Snowflake and sort of the analogous using a credit card speed, right? As soon as you swipe a credit card, you can find out that it's a legitimate transaction. For us, it's the same speed for detecting threats on the endpoint.
Absolutely, Karan. Very excited on the Snowflake aspects as well. So the big few things, what we looked at, we wanted today when MDR, MSSP, or even customers write applications, they call hundreds of APIs, stand up a database, then do DevOps on the database, snapshots, backups, etc. Also, they can write some logic and application. With Snowflake, it's a connected app. It's trivial to share. The permissions are there. You don't have to make multiple copies. Multiple copies means multiplying the risk of the data, us losing control of the data. So that's one big piece. The speed, bring your own machine learning. It's a full first grade, top tier data platform in our whole picture. That powers a lot of detections, that powers a lot of protection, that powers our data platform and the speed and the options we get.
Perfect. And then there was also, and Mo, I invite you for this conversation too. You know, we've been very fortunate in that we've been able to take some of our SaaS EDR products to the government agencies that are inclined to embrace cloud in air-gapped regions. So to be more specific, there's a FedRAMP environment or GovCloud for the folks who are here in the DC metro area, right? It's a specific environment. It is locked down to meet government regulations. It's designed purely for US government customers. Similarly, there's a air-gapped AWS and Azure region, which is a cloud region that both these major cloud providers have built specifically for the national security groups, the intelligence communities of the world, of the United States. You know, we're very proud that we've brought some of those SaaS capabilities to those environments. It was a huge undertaking from a company, but we made those investments. And I believe that helps our customers, you know, helps us meet the customers where they're at. Could you speak from your perspective in EMEA, what you're seeing in terms of our technologies being embraced?
Yeah, no, I think you're very right in the in what has happened with the products in terms of the cloud architecture, and I think it speaks to one the modularity that we have. Some of the solutions we've been able to deploy, I won't name customers, of course, but some of our we'll say mission critical customers or customers that have highly sensitive missions, we've been able to do some customization because of our architecture is quite modular. Whether that's allowing data collection on premise or analysis to take place by third party systems designed by the customer and the intelligence kept within that customer. So and it's another part of architecture that I think Trellix has an advantage in, is that it's modular. Whether that's how you deploy the endpoint products, and it extends to other products beyond the endpoint, but particularly in the endpoint and the EDR and XDR space, modularity and openness become really critical. And modularity allows different situations to be handled, whether that's architectural challenges on-prem, no cloud connectivity, special situations. There's a lot of things that we can do a lot of customization we can do with the data that we collect. And then the openness aspect, especially the conversation now into hybrid XDR, let's just say, where you have a lot of on-prem capabilities and a mixture of cloud coming into play. We see a lot of European customers thinking like that. They want to maintain some of their data ownership in their own environments, but yet leverage some of the capabilities that we could deliver with XDR in the cloud. So that hybrid architecture, again, something we support very natively, let's say, within our product architecture and our product design. And it also is very beneficial to customers who are making different choices in how they want to do security. They're not all running towards the cloud, and that's an important thing, because that wasn't the same 5 years ago. The big push was everything cloud, and we're well positioned now to take the next trend, which is hybrid, right? And I think that's really important, going forward for resilience. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So sort of open thoughts here. I'd love, Ashok, for you to maybe bring us home here. Any sort of parting thoughts that you'd like customers, or prospective customers, or just the industry to be aware of? What's our differentiated position? Where does Trellix stand out? What's the message you'd like to leave the folks with as we wrap the session up?
First off, responsible security. What happened with kernel? What happened with customer choice? What happened with transparency? That's not us. We are far more cautious about and committed to responsible security. Second, coverage. We cover the broadest set of operating systems. Third, we go much further. We go further to the left with protection, inline protection, beyond detection, further to the right with active threat hunts, investigation, remediation, forensics. When two companies came together, McAfee and FireEye, we got two different DNA, and the best of both worlds comes into the Trellix products. Lastly, differentiated data platform. We talked a bit about Snowflake.
Perfect. Thank you, Ashok. Mo?
Yeah, just in terms of responsible security, we're part of the customer supply chain. We're part of their security supply chain, their IT supply chain, their software supply chain, and we have to take the responsibility very, very seriously. I think those conversations are going to be, every customer's having them. They've had them for a number of years, but now that's starting to accelerate, and we're able, I think, with the Trellix architecture, we're well suited to be, a responsible part and a safe part of the customer's architecture, the customer supply chain, I should say, as they become more concerned about that. And I think that's really important from a resilience aspect, and how we'll have to answer those questions. It might mean questions on certifications and architecture in depth. And we're prepared, because we're transparent. We're prepared to have those conversations about the data we collect, how our components are working, for how we're securing our components, and how we build resilience into our own platform.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Mo. Maybe I'll make a couple of quick comments as well. From the U.S. public sector space, one of the things that I'm super proud of that we do here in Trellix is we customize a lot of our solutions for sort of the unique regulatory landscape here in the U.S. Whether that's the sort of cut and dry things like FedRAMP, IL5 certification, or the ICD 503 certifications, which are the ones for the intelligence community. Putting those aside, we've done some customized solutions, bringing our AI to the air gap region, bringing our most, in my view, sexiest EDR solution, our SaaS-based EDR solution to the air gap region. That was a lot of work. It takes a lot of engineering motion and muscle to bring some of these capabilities that are running in commercial to a U.S. government cloud region with all the regulation and all the, I hate to say red tape that goes through that process. But we're willing to do that because we think not only that our technology can meet their needs, but we believe that investment is worth making. We believe that putting those cycles in engineering to build this product for the US government is worthwhile. It's going to contribute to the mission. It's going to make our governments and our systems more secure. So I'm super proud of that. And I think we're very uniquely positioned to do that and make that long-term investment. Two, we're super committed to the US government's mission, right? Whether that's providing services to the citizen and making sure that we protect all the data that the US government is holding on behalf of the citizens, or protecting, some of the government officers who are out there conducting mission in the war zone, making sure that there's no, nation state attackers that are coming after them. We're super engaged in those activities, and we have really close relationships with law enforcement and other intelligence agencies to protect sort of the equities here in the United States. And the final comment that I'll make is, I've worked for a lot of companies over the years, and I'm extremely proud of working for Trellix and the sort of the commitment we've made to our customers in this space. And I think that's very unique. I don't think there's a huge investment being made in the public sector space by many of our competitors to the same degree that we've made. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and conclude today's session. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Mo Cashman and Ashok Banerjee for being on this call.
Thank you, Karan.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.